Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Traps Tuesday Toots. Today, we are going to talk about redstone torches. Now, some people like to start with redstone torches because they are considered a basic item. However, there's a lot that really gets into how to use a redstone torch effectively in Minecraft, and I kind of want to cover a lot of that when I go over redstone torches. So that's why I've saved them for the third episode here. So let's dive right into it. First things first, basically, it's important to know that a redstone torch is a powerful redstone signal. Just like a button or a lever or an observer, it sends out a full strength redstone signal. So this is powered with a power strength of 15, 14, 13, etc., on down the line. So it can be placed on top of or on the side of a block, and it will output redstone signal. Now, if the block it is placed on is powered, that will actually invert the power of a said redstone torch, whether it is on top or on the side of the powered block. So because this redstone signal is going into this block, this is unpowered. And you can actually cycle that by cycling the power of this. So now that this is unpowered, these are in fact on. As you can see, it also powers the block above it. So this is off because that is on. Now, there are some components that we can talk about. So this right here is off because this block is in fact powered. Now, if I turn off one of them, this still is going to be unpowered because this side is still powering this block. So that would require both of these to be off. So we get into some circuitry here. As you can see, we can also expand that out. And if any one of these three is powered, that one will be off. So it's something you can really dive into. Now, I'm going to use a lot of terms over the next little bit, and they're all circuit-based terms. So it's all about building circuits. Which you talk about literally in actual circuit boards that you build like you would find in a computer or whatever. There's all these gates that you use in that kind of logic in order to make different things work. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. The names aren't necessarily important so much as the concept of what it does and how it works. But I'm going to give you the names. Feel free to not worry as much about them. So here goes. So this is an input-output gate. Basically, if this is on, this is on. If this is off, this is off. Again, with Minecraft levers, as you can see, it's off when you first place it. So off is up and down is on. So yeah, so that is that. So then this would be a NOT gate, which is this gets power when this is not on. When it is on, this does not get power. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be done close to what you're trying to output. You could be up to 15 blocks away or have repeaters or whatever. And also the power that's powering it doesn't have to be a lever. It could be a redstone circuit that runs into it with redstone from across the world or whatever. But the important thing is that when this block is not powered, this is on. When this block is powered, this is off. Our next one is going to be an OR gate. So over here, basically, if this is on, and this, again, could be a redstone line coming in from who knows where. This is on. And if this is on, this is on. They're both on. It's still on because this is just a standard OR gate. So the next thing we're going to talk about is an AND gate. So as you can see, that is off because both of these levers are off, which means that these two redstone torches are both on, and they have this bit of redstone here powered, which unpowers this torch, turning that off. Now it's called an AND gate because if I turn this one on, this torch is unpowered, but this is still powered from this torch. So that is still unpowered. So until both of them are on, i.e. this one and this one, that won't be on. But as soon as this one and this one are on, that is now powered. So if both of these blocks are powered, that will be powered. If either one is not powered, that will not be powered. The next thing we're going to get to is what we call a NAND gate, which basically means that it is going to be powered until both sides are powered, and then it will be off. So it's a NOT and. Just like the AND gate, where both of them had to be powered in order for it to be on, in this case, both of them have to be powered for it to be off. And this is done by, instead of inverting the signal with another redstone torch, we just take the signal from these two redstone torches directly into our output. So it's a NAND gate. The next gate we're going to talk about is going to be an XOR gate. Now, what does that mean? That means that if this or this is powered, then that's going to be powered. However, it's called X because X, I honestly don't remember what the X exactly stands for. However, basically, it means that if this or this is powered, it will be on. But if this and this are powered or not powered, that won't be on. So as you can see, if I turn this side on, that is powered. If I turn this side also on, that then becomes unpowered. But if I turn off this side, then it is powered again. If I turn off both sides, it is unpowered. So that is an XOR gate. Now, how does this work? Basically, you have a whole bunch of redstone torches, but let's break it down. So this redstone torch right here is essentially an AND gate. It is unpowered unless that and that are powered, in which case this redstone line would turn off and this redstone torch will turn on. So once both of those are powered, this will turn on. This right here is our initial NOT gate. So when this is not powered, this is powered. When it is powered, this is unpowered. So this right here is just a simple NOT gate connected to an AND gate. And then both of those are connected over here to a NAND gate. So basically what that means is this will get power as long as that and that aren't both powered. However, because both of these can be powered in different ways, it's possible to power them in multiple ways. So the way that that works is, as you can see, this redstone torch here is unpowered right now because this is powered directly from this NOT gate. And same thing with this redstone torch right here. As soon as I turn this off, it is not powered because this dust is not powered from the NOT gate here, and it's also not powered from the AND gate here. However, as soon as I turn this on, you'll notice that this is not powering this redstone because of this NOT gate being off, but both sides are powered from this AND gate. So the NAND gate then goes ahead and turns off because both sides are powered. Basically, the XOR gate works like three separate gates all intertwined together, which is one of the important reasons to understand how the redstone torches and the different gates work, because then you can build things like this that are just a combination of other gates. So our next gate is going to be a much simpler gate. This is just a simple NOR gate, which means that if either side is powered, it's going to be off. Again, these could be coming from redstone signals, coming from who knows where. You could have 3, 4, 5, however many, all intersecting here at this particular block. And this just is essentially a NOT gate with multiple inputs. That's all that is. Now this is going to be an XNOR gate. So just like the XOR gate, it works exactly the same way, except at the last step, we invert the signal so that the output signal is powered if these match and not when they don't. As soon as one is on, it turns off. As soon as they both are on, it turns back on. If you turn off one of them, it turns off. But if they're both off, it's on. These kind of things could be useful, either the XOR gate or the XNOR gate. If you want to put two different signals coming in to power a doorway, say. So that way you could hit the lever on the outside or the inside and it will open, but the other lever will go ahead and close it without having to worry about what state the original lever is in. Kind of works like a three-way switch in a house. This next thing is something I, to be honest, have never personally used. But it's called an RS NAND latch. They say it works like a memory cell. Basically what happens is if you power one of the sides, the other side will remain powered no matter what happens. So if I turn this off, I can come over here, and no matter what I do with this, that will still be on. So this side could flick as many times as it wants. It doesn't matter. And that side will be off. As soon as I turn this back off, it resets. Now, if I were to have this in the off state first, then this side is what actually gets latched. However, if I go ahead and leave this down, as soon as I unlatch this side, you can see that side updated and did turn off. So that's how that works. And then it locked this side. Again, I've never used this. I don't know what it would be useful for, but it is another piece of circuitry you can build in Minecraft, so I thought I would cover it. Something else to note, you actually can use torches in the place of repeaters if you want to. And you actually do get an extra signal strength out of it. Basically what you do is you get to the end of your redstone line and then you add a repeater. Now, how this would work, so what this does is this will actually, as I turn this on, this will turn off, allowing this to turn on. So that sends the signal just like a repeater would across a longer distance. And then as I turn that off, this center section turns on and then this turns off. Now, the one difference being if you wanted to branch out from the middle here and send the signal when it's on, just like you would from a repeater, if you were like trying to split a signal into multiple locations, you would have to make sure to invert this signal again as well, or it will not work. Because because this will always be the opposite signal in the middle here as the input. Whereas with repeaters, it will always match the input all the way along the redstone line. All right, something else to note, as we know, a redstone torch can power a block from underneath, and redstone torches invert their signal as they go up. So what you can do to sense power upwards is you can build a redstone torch tower like this. And as you can see, that is off. As soon as we invert the bottom torch, that turns on. You can also do it like a zipper like this, where it actually powers it by being placed on the side of the block, which is useful for certain things, but it does actually double the length of time that it takes for the signal to reach the top. Again, each torch, much like a repeater, will add a tick delay. And so the more torches you have, the longer the delay is. So if you are wanting just to get signal up, a straight tower is going to be your best friend. However, let's say you wanted to have several redstone signals coming off the side here at different levels, and you wanted them all to match all the way along. You can get that by building the zipper style. Something else to note, one thing you can do that you probably don't want to do unless you're purposely trying to trick the system is you can get what's called torch burnout. If I place this here, as you can see, this redstone torch isn't on and this redstone dust isn't on. So this block is not powered, but the torch is off because it gets into a weird update loop that breaks it. You can actually fix this by adding a second torch, and they will update each other. I have seen this still fail. However, if you do 3 torches, it will not ever fail. I don't know of a good place to use this. Some people use it as a clock for certain things, but it's not really super useful. Obviously, it's a little bit noisy. You can turn it off by just powering this block, and then you can alternate it like that. I will say the one place I have seen it used is to annoy people with noisemakers. Not necessarily something everybody wants to do, but just wanted to talk about how you can accidentally run into that situation. If you're building a circuit and you put a redstone torch and then you just have that next to a block, and then you also run a redstone line like across here. Like say you were trying to like bring your redstone line this way and you had a torch under here to do a different thing going that way. It's just not gonna work out for you. So you just gotta keep that in mind as something that can happen when you're building your redstone circuits. All right. Well, that is everything I can think of that you would need to know about redstone torches. So let's tick that off. Redstone torches done. That, I think, is going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. And remember, folks, don't get trapped without me. Bye-bye, y'all.